kind of love doing a little bit of a deep dive into kind of what
Yeah.
initially, brought people into country music. Obviously, growing up in Central Illinois or Southern Illinois, you might as well be in Mississippi. But can you share a little bit about your journey into country
Yeah.
music and kind of what initially drew you in?
Yeah, it's funny because like growing up in Southeastern Illinois, both sides of my family are farmers. So I spent a lot of time sitting in the cab of a tractor, and there was only three radio stations I could get in clear. One was a country station, one was classic rock, and one was like pop. So I kind of floated between classic rock and the country station there for a long time. But growing up, I was actually a big like rock and roll guy. I loved rock music from I like Southern rock, like, Charlie Daniels and Skinner, but I grew up loving like Pearl Jam, Nirvana, um, you know, just the rock bands and stuff like that. But I guess country wise, what really got me into it was just the storytelling aspect of songs. Like, um, you know, I I was listening to a lot of Garth Brooks, Brooks and Dunn, Joe Diffie, those guys, and I love their music because I could picture it in my head when they're singing it. Like I can see the song. And that was just something that always kind of like brought me in. I was just like, I love the story aspects of it. So I want to tell, my story as best as I can. And hopefully people can see that same imagery in my song.
I love it. I love that you bring up Brooks and Dunn because I have a Brooks and Dunn tattoo. That is how much
Oh,
I love
no
those
way.
guys. Oh yeah, here, hold on, let's see.
I got to say, yeah. Oh, I love it. That's great. That,
Well,
that was
hey,
my first concert was Brooks and Dunn.
really? Mine
Very
was
first one. I
Christina
was,
Aguilera at the Illinois
yeah.
State Fairgrounds.
Yeah, mine was Evansville, Indiana. Man, I was young too. Not even like a teenager yet.
Yeah.
And it was I'm trying to think. It was Reba McEntire, Brooks and Dunn, and I want to say Clark. What's her?
Harry?
Yes, yes,
I
yeah,
I know. I wish I could just go back to that time. I've talked to some friends that I know that work for booking agents or whatever. I'm like,
yeah,
can we come up with a just 90s fest, kind of what they had for what was it
yeah.
like the We Were Young Fest for all the pop punk kids out in
Hmm.
Vegas? I'm like, I want a festival where like it's going to be George Strait and then Alan Jackson and then like Diamond Rio. Like, can we
Oh yeah,
like
that'd be cool.
I would spend so much money on that. But I know you mentioned a couple of artists, but was there an artist in particular that kind of brought you over to the dark side? I mean, I grew up, my
Yeah,
parents, like all of those rock bands that you mentioned, Pearl Jam, and then even more
mm.
Southern rock like CCR. My mom is a
Oh
huge
yeah.
Greg Allman fan. But were there any like artists that kind of brought you over to the dark side a little bit? And you're like, oh, country music, I don't just love it, but maybe it's something I kind of want to model my life after
Yeah.
as well.
Yeah, so that was the hardest part for me because, like, with rock music, it was a lot easier for me singing wise, just
Yeah.
because there wasn't like, there's definitely a technique there. I was able to at the time, like the projecting my like kind of like the scream sing type thing was easy, and I have a deep voice, so country for me, like I never it was hard for me to relate and sing along with a lot of country artists because they sing so damn high. And then I heard Trace Atkins, and then I was like, oh
You're
yeah,
like,
I
oh,
can sing in that. I can sing down there. So yeah, Trace was really kind of like my first like I think this is something I could do. Like I love the writing of country music, and I love how they like the imagery and the storytelling. But I just had a really hard time finding my voice because some of the guys I were like Tim McGraw and Joe and all these guys and Garth. I mean, they can sing high, and I can't. So when I first heard Trace, that's kind of when I was started to think like, man, maybe I can. I'm second guessing myself because my voice was deeper. But yeah, he was kind of like the first country artist I listened to where I thought that I had a lane.
yeah.
Whenever beforehand, I didn't really know where to go.
I love it. So I love that you definitely blend your influences from growing up, but I never love to tell you what kind of country music you make now,
Yeah.
especially because we have so many subgenres. It like makes my
Oh,
head
sure.
spin. But if you could describe your kind of musical style to a new fan, how would you
Hmm.
describe it?
And that's such a hard question because it drives me crazy too when people want to put you in a box and like, oh, well, you're rock country or you're southern rock and all this, and like this project that I'm recording right now, like there's some songs in there that are as heavy as like, you know, Brantley Gilbert's, you know, like style. But
Mhm.
then like the very next song is like chicken picking, like Joe Diffie, like, you know, straight 90s riff country. So yeah, I have a hard time with that too. I mean, I love the Southern rock, you know, and rock style of country music, you know, real big harmonies, real big guitars, you know, kind of the like a mixture between like Aldine and Brantley, but then having like Allman Brothers like harmonies like, you know, stacked on it. So yeah, you know, I always just say I'm a country artist, and you know, I like to get outside the box. I like to record songs that are out of my comfort zone a little bit too, because I feel like, you know, why record a project where 9 songs sound exactly the same? Like I like something that's a little like with diversity, I guess. So yeah, I mean, when it comes to the music, for me, I write and record stuff just based on how I'm feeling that day, and I'm just like, I want to do something rocking. I feel like I need something with some edge. And then like this, I got a new project coming out, and we got a song called "Bridge I'd Like to Burn," and it's yeah, I mean, it's straight up '90s, like chicken picking, Telecasters, you know, nothing heavy in it at all, and it's just and it feels good. So you know, I do a lot of based off of just how I'm in the what I'm in the mood for that day when I go into a ride. So I'm
I
all over the
love it.
place.
I love it. So speaking of writing, you know, a ton of artists I've talked to over the years are like, oh, I need to, there's a certain ritual, or I have to be wearing a certain hat or a certain pair of underwear or something. Do
Yeah.
you have any routines that kind of help you get in that creative mood?
You know, kinda. My favorite time to write is in the winter. I love it when it's really cold outside, so I can throw sweatpants on, a big baggy hoodie, and Crocs, and just I like being super comfy. You know, we just got back from a writers retreat, and it was actually when that big snowstorm hit Nashville,
Yeah.
and we had to cut it a couple days short. But there's 4 of us, and we wrote 9 songs in 3 days. So that's when I feel like I'm at my best. But yeah, I'm always cozy though. I don't come to rights looking like I'm about to walk out on the Opry stage. I always say I look like a homeless duck hunter because I'm always in sweatpants and like a camo hoodie.
Oh my gosh, I love it. So I have to ask you the obligatory dad question.
Oh
How do
yeah.
you feel like your music, or maybe kind of your lane of some of your songs, have kind of changed since you've become a dad? Has there been a change?
Yeah, somewhat. Definitely content wise. You know, because I'm always down for a good time, and I've always been known to kind of be the life of a party. But you know, moving forward with music, it's like uh subject matter wise, I started getting in my head a little bit of like, okay, when my daughter's 16, or you know, old enough to know what some of these lyrics are talking about, um, is this the best representation of a dad that I can be? You know, so there
Yeah.
is definitely that. And I would say, you know, just last year before she was here, I probably wasn't thinking that way. I was just like, oh yeah, that sounds cool. Let's, you know, let's talk about smoking or whatever, you know, like, so that's definitely changed for sure. Yeah.
I love it. Well, dad jams are in. I mean, there's a
Yeah.
lot of country music babies around, so I feel like we're going to see a shift toward what I like to call some dad jams. But I'm really
Love it.
excited about your song, "The People."
Mhm.
And I love that you bring up Trace Adkins, because when I first heard it, that's initially who popped in my head. I was like, man, this almost sounds like Trace Adkins. It kind of
Yeah.
gave me that vibe. So chat with me about the first time you heard it, and I know,
Mhm.
you're a Marine veteran, and is
Mhm.
that kind of why this song hit so hard with you? Talk with me a little bit more about that.
Yeah, absolutely. We were actually like 2 days out from recording my project, and I had a lot of fun songs on there. And my manager and I were talking, and then my co-producer, he was in the room as well. And I was like, "Man, I love all these songs, but like, I feel like I'm missing that song that like says something.
Yeah.
You know, like not every song needs to be like, you know, a serious, you know, this is to the point type of song. But I felt like that's what I was missing. And you know, because my last project, you know, bringing up Trace, like you know, Trace and I recorded a song called "Simplify" together, and that was kind of like my like that song on that project that was like saying something, and not just like talking about, you know, tailgates and beer and whatever else. You know, there's room for those songs too, of course,
Yeah.
but no, we were sitting having coffee one morning, and I was kind of bringing that up, and my friend Mark, who was a co-writer on that song, and he's my co-producer on my project too. he was like, man, he's like, what about the people? And I was like, the people? What are you talking about? He's like, I sent you this song like 4 weeks ago and you never responded. And I was like, nah, you never sent it to me. He goes, check your text messages. So I start going through my phone and I was like, yeah, you're right. My bad, bro. And he was like, did you listen to it? And I was like, nah, I didn't listen to it. So like I pressed play and I started listening to it. And just like the first couple lines, my friend Josh Gallagher, he was the one actually singing the demo. And just I was hooked. I was like, can I have this? Can I have this? I can have this song. He's like, yeah, I don't think anybody's cut it yet. So I was like, yeah, let's do that. I want that song because it's one of those songs like it's a come together song, and I feel like for me, that's probably one of my favorites that I've put out to this point so far
I
or
love
been a
it.
part of.
I know you've been on the road with somebody super fun. I won't
Mhm.
say who. I'll let you tell everybody who. But I feel like this is the perfect song to play out to any audience. Have you gotten to play it live yet? Has there been
Oh yeah,
feedback with the song?
yeah. So last year was the first time we were really putting it in the show,
Yeah.
and I did a couple bigger shows. Like I was out with Clay Walker and Easton Corbin, Tim Montana, and I got to play it at a festival we were playing. I'm searching for the name of it. It's in Jasper, Indiana. Red, White, and Brawn, I believe, is the name of it. And that was the last. I closed my sets with that song, and I knew I had something special at the end when I went to the merch table and I was doing a meet and greet, and these three or four like grown men, giant beards, big burly guys come up to me and they told me that song like literally made them cry. And I was like, well, if I'm making grown men cry with a song, then I got a good one. So that's kind of when I mean, I thought it was always special, but when you get that type of feedback from people, um, man, it just kind of solidifies that like feeling that you had all along about that song. So I think it's going to be a real good one.
I love it. Most importantly, does your daughter like the song? I know she's itty bitty, but does she
She
like
is. You know, I think she's kind of taken after me at first. I play her country music and she just kind of stares at me. But if I put Bon Jovi on, like she'll freak out. And I don't know how. And it's the same thing with like Pearl Jam. I throw Pearl Jam on and she will just like lose her mind over. I don't know if it's just the cadence of the songs or whatever, but for some reason, Bon
little Eddie
Jovi and Pearl
better,
Jam.
right?
I know that's her jam right now. So yeah, if she's crying, like most people are like put a lullaby on, but no, I put either Pearl Jam or Dead or Alive on by Bon Jovi, and she's just like instantly she's done. She's like, all right, cool, I got my song on now.
I love it. My cousin, when something similar happened, but it was like the Hamilton soundtrack. Like, how weird. Like, what a bizarre thing. But
That
I
is
love that
funny.
your little one's into music. So I know you're kind of
Yeah.
hinting at a new project. What can you
Mhm.
tell us about it? What are you most excited for?
Yeah, this batch of songs is really good. Like I said, we wrote 9 songs in a weekend,
That's
and
impressive.
it was crazy. Like I've never been a part of something like that. It was just nonstop. I was like, all right, cool. That's the second one today. Let's take a break. And then all of a sudden, like somebody would be like, I got an idea. And then we'd chase that down and then bam, another song. So yeah, I think out of the 9, I cut 7. And then a couple of them are already being pitched. So we'll see what happens with the pitches. But I'm pretty excited. There's a couple in there that I'm real pumped to put out. We wrote this song called Hell of a Hello, and it's very much like the people. It's got a message behind it, and that's a powerful song. And then Bridge I Like to Burn is going to be a real fun one too. And then I have a kind of a feature coming out, a duet song, I guess you could call it, with a good buddy of mine. His name's Nate Kenyon, called "Do Country," and yeah, that one's gonna slap. I think we're gonna put that one out like during the summer of this year, just because it's a summer song. I don't want to wait too long.
Great. I have a couple of bachelorette parties that I've been in charge of the playlist. So please let me
Oh
know
yeah,
when that's out.
I will for sure. Yeah, you got that. That's a fun one. You'll like that one.
I love it. Well, obviously, being a dad, putting out new music, uh, staying sane is a huge goal for this
Yeah.
year. But if you had to maybe do one really big thing this year that you're hoping to check off, what would that be?
I'm always looking to play bigger festivals. I think we have an opportunity to possibly do Country Thunder this year. Um, so that would be a lot of fun, and just I guess for me personally is just try to start moving off of getting to the bigger stages, you know. But I get, you know, that just comes with the songs and comes with a little bit of time. So, but we're getting there slowly but surely.
You're listening to